Hello, and welcome to a short tutorial about how to get sound files into openprocessing.org. So, as we see on screen, I have the three main pillars of how we get any sort of file to be displayed to our user. Now, they could be very easily abbreviated as LCD, a common type of screen. But in our case, these pillars, they stand for load, configure, display. Load being how we get the files onto open processing, and then from there, we get those files into our sketch into a variable to be in usable form. Now we have configure, where we configure how we want to play this. So this could be something like setting sound, setting the bass, setting the way you want sound to be played. And finally, we have display, which gets that sound into the user hearable version, where the user can actually all take it in. So let's hop right into open processing. Now, you see here in open processing, I have a very simple sketch. All we have are two functions. Function preload, which is run before the sketch is loaded. This is used for loading more of that big chunky things, the images. And function setup, which is used once after the sketch has been loaded. So you see on the right, I'm using the latest version of processing. Everything's quite up to date, right? We got our show frame and our infinite loop protection. Always a good thing to have on. Now, the one thing you may notice is that I have p5.sound loaded. Now, p5.sound is a library that enables these sound features that we're about to see us use and interact, and all of that. Now, the beautiful thing about open processing is that if I hit show all, there's a lot of libraries here. And there's really no hassle in me installing it onto my local computer and then having to wait. Right, all it is here, I have it. But the one downside with that is that if I were to want to add a custom library, say I would have made one or I would have found one online, I would need to have Open Processing Pro. Well, I'd say that's a worthwhile trade-off, as I don't really use these more in-depth things that are not listed here. But other than that, I mean, just choose what you need. Now, back to the main code of our sketch. So in function preload, the main thing we're going to want is to allow that our sound formats to accept MP3 files. So, using the built-in function sound formats, we specify we want it to accept MP3 formats. Because if you see here, I've selected an MP3 sound effect, lasergun.mp3. Now here, we're gonna load the laser gun into the .mp3 file, like load it into a variable. So here, this is very simple. We're gonna call it LG for laser gun, and we're gonna set it to load sound, which is a built-in method that takes what we have in files and we turn it into a variable. Now, here, we're just going to want to specify what our file's name is. See, we don't have to specify where it is, which is another great advantage of open processing. So here, all we write is laser underscore gun dot mp3. Don't forget that ending. That ending is very important, as I see a lot of people making the mistake of leaving it out. Now, this is all the big parts. We need to load things in preload. That just makes things a bit easier for open processing to run on their servers. Now in function setup is where we can go to our second pillar, configure. Here we can configure how we want sound to be played. Now really, all I want is just to set the volume. So as I said before, it's LG set volume. Like, it's such a great, simple naming conventions here that we have, and we're so fortunate to have these beautiful naming conventions. And here, I'll set it to 0.5. I find that some of these files tend to be loud, and I like 0.5. It's pretty loud, but not too loud. Now, that's all we need to configure, but in later videos, I'll be showing you more in-depth configurations. And now, after that, we can jump into display. Now, our display is going to be very simple. All we want is for it to be played once. And that is it. LG.play. That gets played. And it gets played once because we're in function setup. And function setup makes sure that it gets run once, right? This is an override of the function that is run at the very beginning. So, we play it once, and that's all we need. See, I see people making the mistake of putting it in function draw, and that just makes it start and it only plays the very beginning, and it makes this very weird tone. I'll show that later in my troubleshooting video, which is yet to come out. But for now, let's just see what we've accomplished. And as you can hear, files are being played. Now I believe there were 3 short bursts. Do not get that confused with loop. That was not on a loop. It was just a file that had 3 short bursts that I got off the YouTube free music library. Because I do not advise piracy. Please do not do it. Not cool. Not cool, guys. Yeah, so I will also, in a future video, go into display more further and show you all the cool things we could do, like how to loop things and how to make things play when we want things to play. But for now, this is our very simple, basic format things. Alright? And all it is 4 lines of code, and it makes such beautiful results, yet it is some of the most thought after things that we want in our classroom today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.